Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, Marcus Aurelius, Leonardo da Vinci. They lived centuries apart, spoke different languages, believed different things. But there is one habit they all had in common. They all wrote, not to publish, not to be remembered, but to think. A tool that is also available to all of us. If you use it with intention, not only it can make you dangerously articulate, but it can also improve your creative thinking, critical thinking, and deep thinking. Because writing is an act of thinking. It is not possible to hold a long chain of thoughts in our mind without putting them on paper. That's what makes it so effective. In any realm of human endeavor, if you can think well, you will do well. As Jordan Peterson said,
the best way to teach people critical thinking is to teach them to write. You need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake. If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly.
Unfortunately, nobody ever seems to tell us why we should write. And worst of all, most people think they need permission to write. They believed writing is only for authors and creative people. But that's not true. In On Writing Well, William Jenser said, writing is thinking, and anyone who thinks clearly can write clearly about anything at all. The point is, you write precisely because you want to clarify your thinking and deepen your understanding of a subject you don't know. And if you are still not convinced, consider this. John Didion said, I write entirely to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see and what it means, what I want and what I fear. It's worth highlighting that she didn't say, I wrote after I figured things out. The writing was figuring things out. We can see a more concrete example of this if we study the life of the philosopher Imam al-Ghazali. He was the most respected intellectual of his time. He had everything, his status, his students, recognition. Then something happened. He began questioning, is the reason reliable? Am I teaching truth or just repeating tradition? Am I sincere or am I addicted to status? It became so intense that he literally could not speak while teaching, because sometimes the problem isn't a lack of intelligence or information. It's confusion at a fundamental level. In the end, he left his prestigious job, spent years in solitude, and wrote the book Deliverance from Error. This is a book that reads like a man dissecting his own mind. The point is, Ghazali didn't write because he had answers. He wrote to make sense of what he had been through. The thinking and writing were inseparable. Now, this was probably an extreme example, but the point I wish to make is this. You don't need a spiritual crisis like Imam al-Ghazali to start writing. I started writing 3 years ago because I wanted to make money as a copywriter. I achieved that and I still work as a freelance copywriter. But something along the way I realized I read a lot across different topics, but I wasn't doing anything with it. So I started seeing it differently. I started seeing writing as a problem solving, a tool to learn more about the topics that interest me and excites me. A very good example would be this video script. It took me around 7 to 8 hours to write it, but I enjoyed every bit of it. And I don't think I'm the only one who figured this out or discovered this gradually. In his essay, Why I Write, George Orwell said that at the beginning he wanted to write beautifully. He cared about his style, imagery, and rhythm of sentences. The writing was fine, but it only became sharper when he had a real problem to think through, such as when he realized his political purpose. This is why we have a great book like Animal Farm, which was written as a political allegory against tyrannism. And Orwell isn't the only one. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, and yet meditation wasn't written for an audience. It was private notes, a man arguing with himself. If the most powerful person alive needed this practice to think clearly and put in the time to do so, what does that tell you about the rest of us?